If it's a school day, for example, well, you learn to deal with the stress, because you cannot stop living just because you are deprived of all protections. So life does go on. People do go to school. Right now, schools are off in the occupied West Bank, and it's summer vacation. But you can't stop your daily routine just because you're caught without, like I said, without protection, and there's nothing really that you can do about it.
Noor, if I could follow up on a point you were making earlier, you did mention this is just the first week of this conflict, and we have to wait and see what the support will be if this prolongs this conflict, and if there are more attacks, and if more missiles, ballistic missiles launched from Iran get through the Israeli air defense systems. I want to ask you, though, is there a sense in Israel that those Israelis who may be supporting this conflict thus far, do they have a sense as to what Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's objectives truly are at this point? Do they believe that it is deterrence? Do they believe that it is degradation of Iran's capabilities? Or is it regime change in Tehran?
Well, it's difficult to gauge because, quite honestly, the Israeli government hasn't really been forthcoming. They've given mixed signals. The Israeli Prime Minister has spoken about toppling the Iranian government. If you listen to the right-wing media, and let's remember, Israel is very polarized at the moment. Nearly 2 years of a genocidal war on Gaza, another war on Lebanon, a multi-frontal war waged all across the region. It has really fractured public opinion in Israel, and many in the Israeli public don't trust Netanyahu. They don't trust his motivations. So the fact that in the right-wing media circles there is a lot of hype about possibly taking out the supreme leader of Iran, about toppling the government, about eliminating the threat if the United States participates actively in the military efforts. Then you begin to wonder, and the Israelis are asking questions. What is the end game? There's no end game for Gaza, except the talk about mass displacement and ethnic cleansing. There is no end game in Lebanon. There is no end game anywhere at the moment in all those fronts, in all those wars that Israel is waging. What there is talk about hegemony, is talk about also the political survival of this right-wing government. Polls indicate that the approval rating of Netanyahu has increased, at least in his base, in his right-wing base. And so one begins to draw some connections. At the moment, there isn't enough chatter, there isn't enough momentum, if you will, to say that some sort of opposition is increasing, although the voices questioning all of this do exist, and we hear them and we read some of the opinion pieces that are published, some of the commentary that is published, questioning that tactic, questioning the motivation.
अपराधी जी, पहले तो अपने बारे में बताइए, आप इजराइल के किस शहर में हैं इस वक्त?
ये मैं लगभग 4 महीने से अशदोद शहर में हूँ। गाजा में लगभग बहुत करीब है।
आपने बताया कि आप खाना खा रहे थे, सायरन बजा और आपको बंकर मिशन लेनी पड़ी।
तो सायरन बजता है तो भागना पड़ता है।
We all know the story of how the United States was the first to develop the nuke. But today, there are now 10 countries around the world that have successfully created them. Some helping each other, but most in secrecy, involving a lot of spying, rivalry, and betrayal. Each of them have a story just as interesting as the US's Manhattan.
势再度骤然升温，不符合任何